Trump's decision to trade away his free speech bona fides to adopt a censorship mindset seems to be going from bad to worse, even among a cohort that was pivotal to his 2024 win, comedians and podcasters who believed him when he lied about being a free speech champion. Here are a few opponents of Trump's move, and when I say these people aren't exactly liberals, I think you'd agree.
There's an element of the right wing that wants this stuff to keep going on. And it's because they felt culturally powerless for a very long time. And they want these institutions to kind of bend the knee to the president. And it's happened in other countries. People bring up Hungary and Viktor Orban and all that stuff. Obviously, people like Putin. Nobody wants to live in a country where a late night comedian is, subject to removal because he says something that the president of the United States doesn't like.
This seems like a big attack on free speech. Mm-hmm. And I think we've been pretty staunchly in favor of free speech. And it is funny to watch right-wing people just become left-wing people. Because I said something about how you're a snowflake if you think you should be. If you agree with this, that's some snowflake shit. And somebody was like, you clearly don't even know what the First Amendment means. And that's exactly what left-wing people used to tell me. Yeah. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences.
Right.
So y'all have just switched.
Yeah.
Now, again, this has nothing to do with what happened to Charlie Kirk. That's a fucking horrendous thing. Let's get that out of the way. But in terms of censorship, freedom of speech is more under attack now, honestly, than I think it has ever been. I don't know if that's me being hyperbolic.
Maybe. I mean, as far as what Jimmy said, I think it's untrue, or at least unfair.
I don't agree with what he said. I don't like what he said. We should also say that. I don't agree with what he said. I don't like what he said. He should be allowed to say it. And what happened to Charlie Kirk is worse. Charlie Kirk should have been allowed to say the things we didn't like. Jimmy Kimmel should be allowed to say the things we didn't like. That's just what America is.
Yeah.
And freedom of speech, I've seen it truly under attack in India, where it's like you can go to jail. This is closer to that than I think what the left was doing.
Yeah.
Which is like the FCC putting, as much as we didn't like left-wing shit, like far left policy or far left whatever thoughts, it wasn't like Joe Biden was putting pressure on somebody to get canceled for saying retard. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what makes this different and scarier to me and closer to what India has. Then that's what makes it an actual attack on free speech to me.
Nexstar, one of the largest affiliate owners in the country, meaning they broadcast Jimmy Kimmel's show, they pulled Kimmel from all their broadcasts. Now, do you think they did that because they were offended by the joke or because they have a $6.2 billion merger they need approved by the FCC? If they did it for that merger, that is the definition of government influence silencing of speech. And now all these staunch free speech advocates are doing mental gymnastics to get around the fact that they're okay with government influence silencing of speech as long as it's for their opposition. You want to know who wouldn't be okay with that? Charlie Kirk. Love him or hate him, Charlie gave a microphone to his political opponents, asked audiences to treat them with respect. He quite literally amplified the voices of those he disagreed with. How do you think he would feel about his tragic death being used to silence political opposition? Honestly, do you think that he would advocate for canceling Jimmy? There's no way. I think he'd be furious about it. I think his supporters should be furious about it, and I think his detractors should be furious about it. It shouldn't even be up for debate.
And I gotta ask, how many times does this guy have to prove that he is engaging in the most blatant bait and switch in history before these comedians realize that they've been conned? This guy promised to release the Epstein files right away and instead engaged in a government-wide cover-up to bury them even further. He literally moved the only living known accomplice to a minimum security prison right after she claimed that Trump was totally absolved of any and all culpability. He promised to lower costs on day one and instead engaged in a trade war that sent the cost of everything higher. He made you think that he cared about this on such a granular level that he literally invoked the cost of individual eggs, only to now preside over nationwide cost surges. He promised to end the Russia-Ukraine war on day one. We're 8 months in and this guy is still too afraid of Putin to say a single ill word of him. And finally, you'll remember this promise that was purportedly so important to Trump, he literally said it at his second inauguration.
After years and years of illegal and unconstitutional federal efforts to restrict free expression, I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America. Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents. Something I know something about. We will not allow that to happen. It will not happen again. Under my leadership, we will restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law.
And now that guy is sending in his FCC chair like a fucking Timu Joe Pesci in Goodfellas to force TV networks to silence comedians.
But frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC. Again, there's actions that we can take on licensed broadcasters. And frankly, I think that it's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney and say, listen, we are going to preempt. We are not going to run Kimmel anymore until you straighten this out, because we licensed broadcaster, are running the possibility of fines or license revocation from the FCC if we continue to run content that ends up being a pattern of news distortion.
We could do this the easy way, or we could do this the hard way. This is a tired exercise, but could you imagine what the right would say if Joe Biden or Barack Obama's FCC chair said that about some right-wing network, tried to claim that about Fox News, Newsmax, OAN? They would lose their shit, and rightfully so, because what's happening here isn't just hypocritical, which would be bad enough unto itself. It is nakedly, blatantly unconstitutional. So look, in terms of these comedians and podcasters, should they have known better? Absolutely. If they had half a brain, they'd have sniffed this guy's bullshit out a mile away. They didn't. Most of them endorsed him, they voted for him, and here we are. But our priority in this moment should be collecting as many people as we can who recognize the con, late though it may be, and amplify their voices, because the only goal in politics right now is building our coalition. It's not purity tests, it's not moral superiority, it is adding people to our tent so that we get more votes than a party that is right now careening us headfirst into authoritarianism. Again, am I disgusted at how short-sighted and gullible these people were? Of course I am. But where is our energy best used? Saying I told you so, or building alliances? I think it's the latter. In the meantime, as we continue to watch legacy media fail in its obligation to protect free speech and democracy, it has never been more important to support independent media. I'm not owned by some multinational media conglomerate. I don't serve shareholders. I'm not over-leveraged at the hands of the federal government. I am answerable only to my audience. So if you'd like to support my work, please subscribe to this channel. It is and always will be completely free. Or please subscribe to any independent channel out there whose allegiance is to democracy. Because if legacy media networks want to align themselves with Donald Trump in his crusade against free speech, then our job is to respond by taking away the attention that they so desperately crave. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on this screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.